In my last video, I spoke about the 10 times Jamaica stunned the world. But in this video, I'll be talking about the 10 times Jamaica fell from grace in the eyes of the world. In number 10, we have Usain Bolt losing one of his gold medals. Usain Bolt had accomplished what no other athlete before him had ever done, winning 3 gold medals in 3 successive Olympics in the 100, 200, and 4x100 relays. But in 2017, Jamaica fell from grace when the International Olympic Committee announced that Usain Bolt would be stripped of one of his gold medals because one of his teammates, Nesta Carter, had tested positive for a banned substance. Carter's urine samples were frozen from 2008 and back-tested by the World Anti-Doping Agency. The IOC urged the Jamaican Olympic Association to secure the return of the physical medals, and the results were overturned, including the then world record which was set at the time. Bolt responded by saying, "It's heartbreaking. Over the years you have worked hard to accumulate gold medals and work hard to be a champion. When it's confirmed or whatever, if I need to give back my gold medal, I'd have to give it back." In number 9, we have 1988 Ben Johnson testing positive for banned substance. It was the biggest rivalry in track and field. Carl Lewis representing the United States and the Jamaican-born Ben Johnson representing Canada. It was a day of triumph for Canada when Ben Johnson won the 1988 Olympic gold medal in the 100 meters in Seoul, South Korea. The day was seen as a victorious one for Jamaica as well as the home nation of Ben Johnson. But when Ben Johnson tested positive for the use of drugs, he caused not only Canada to fall from grace, but Jamaica as well. Johnson was stripped of his gold medal that he had won in 1988. In number 8, we find the pastor Kevin O. Smith. In 2021, shocking news emerged from Jamaica that a cultic pastor had engaged in human sacrifice, leaving 2 people dead during a ceremony. Reports are that Kevin O. Smith told his followers to come to church dressed in white and to not tell anyone. During the service, Kevin O. Smith ordered that 2 people's throats be slashed in a ceremony in which he would resurrect them. News also emerged that there were members of the JDF security forces and the police who were present at the scene. Following the incident, Kevin O. Smith was arrested and he met in an accident on his way to trial in Kingston, where he eventually died. In number 7, we find the Tivoli incursion of 2001. In July 2001, members of the security forces stormed Tivoli Gardens in search for gunmen. The result was a waging battle that lasted for 3 days. In the end, 31 people were killed and many others were left wounded. But what made this story one of fallen grace was that the bodies of those who had been slain were left in the streets of Tivoli Gardens to rot for over the 3-day period. In number 6, we have Usain Bolt and SSL. In 2023, the world was in total shock when news emerged that Usain Bolt, the Olympic champion, had lost his savings that he had invested in the company SSL, Sunk & Securities Company Limited. Reports are that Usain Bolt had over $12 million in the company, but only found $12 in his account. This was an embarrassment for Jamaica in the world media. In number 5, we find Colin Ferguson's mass shooting in 1993. It was a sad day for Jamaica when Jamaican-born American immigrant Colin Ferguson opened fire on passengers in a New York train, killing 6 people and injuring 19. Ferguson eventually fired all his lawyers and defended himself in court. When the verdict came, he was sentenced to 315 years in prison. In number 4, we have the Bay Massacre of 1978. On January 5th, 1978, 14 men turned up at Green Bay where they were seeking jobs as bodyguards and drivers after being promised that by members of the Jamaica Defense Force. However, the men were surprised when members of the JDF opened fire, killing 5 men in cold blood. This was a sad day in the history of Jamaica. In number 3, we have the Tivoli incursion of 2010. For the second time, members of the security forces invaded Tivoli in search of Dudus Coke. Dudus Coke was requested by the United States to be extradited on gun trafficking charges. The result was a war between members of the security forces and criminal gangs, leaving 73 people dead and many more injured. The images beamed around the world by the world's most powerful media houses created a sad day in the history of Jamaica. Another day Jamaica fell from grace was in 1976 on December the 3rd. Bob Marley, the international superstar, was shot and injured, and his wife Rita Marley was shot in her head. No one died, but this was a sad day in Jamaica's history, especially given the attempts by Bob Marley to promote peace and love between the warring factions in Jamaica at the time. And just before we discover the number 1 time when Jamaica fell from grace in the eyes of the world, let me invite you to subscribe to this channel, JAMFET, celebrating the Jamaican culture ayard and abroad. And the number 1 moment when Jamaica fell from grace in the eyes of the world was in 1980 during the election campaign. The campaign opposed the JLP's Edward Seaga and the PNP's Michael Manley. The nation was on the verge of a civil war as political violence riddled the country, leaving over 800 people dead during that election campaign. In the end, it was the JLP's Edward Seaga who triumphed by winning 51 of the 60 seats to succeed Manley as Prime Minister of Jamaica. So what do you think about these dark days in the history of Jamaica? Do you agree that these are the times when Jamaica fell from grace? Let me know in the comment section. And in the meantime, remember to like, share, and subscribe to JAMFET, celebrating the Jamaican culture ayard and abroad.